Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Pritpal Singh, an MBBS and MD from CMC Ludhiana. And after a long gap, I'm going to have bring to you today a session on rational usage of drugs. And this particular topic holds its significance because a lot of irrational prescribing is done at various levels, maybe by the RMPs and some other allied health professionals. So we need to know exactly what a rational drug use is so that we give the maximum benefit to the patient with minimal side effects. So with this, I'll start with this topic of rational drug use. And the purpose out here is that at at the end of this session, I give you some insight into how to go ahead with the rational usage of drug. And I would be happy if there are any queries or any questions about related to this particular topic. I'd be more than happy to answer them. So with this, I start with the rational drug use, and it would be inappropriate if I don't start with the definition as given by WHO Conference of Experts, Nairobi in 1985. So according to WHO, rational use of drug requires that the patient receives medication that is appropriate to their clinical needs. This is important. And in the doses that they meet the own individual requirement for an adequate period of time at a lowest cost, which is for both them and the community. So it means that the patient should receive a drug according to his clinical needs and so that his requirements are fulfilled for an adequate period of time and the cost which should be bearable to both him and the community as a whole. Moving beyond this, rational drug use requires to go for a correct drug, appropriate indication, appropriate drug considering efficacy, safety, suitability for the patient, cost, appropriate dosage, administration, and durations. There should be no contraindications in this patient. It should be dispensed correctly, which should include the information to the patient, and the patient should adhere to this particular treatment. That is, so all these components form an essential part of rational drug use. But then there is a question because there are so many terms, so many things that are included in this. So the term rationale does not justify, or it is not one word that suits all. So we require a better term for this. Now, what happens if there is an irrational use of drugs? Now, why I started at the beginning that almost at all levels. Now, this is the reason that I'm talking about. That there are 25 to 75% antibiotics that are being given in teaching hospitals are inappropriate. Two-third antibiotics are without prescriptions. 90% of the consumers buy a 3 days supply. Private providers in India use 80 different TB regimes, and 50% of the people worldwide fail to take medicines correctly. So, all these constitute an irrational use, and this amounts to a significant number when we talk about rational drug use or irrational drug use. So, there are many factors that tend to influence the use of medication. These factors include the intrinsic factors that are dependent on the patient, the societal factors, the place where he is living, the community where he is living, the information that is available, the workplace, the work group, and so on. So when we talk about the intrinsic factors, there must be a prior knowledge of the drug. There must be certain habits that are necessary for the treatment choice. We have to take into consideration the social and cultural factors. We have to take into consideration the economic and legal factors. The work group, you need to have authority and supervision. There should be a good relationship with the peers. Workplace, the infrastructure where this particular person is working, what is the workload and staffing, the information that is there, whether this is the scientific information, or maybe there is any influence from the drug industry that is favoring or hindering for a particular use of a particular brand of drug. So, when we talk about the WHO model, which gives a guide to good prescribing, we'll just start with what exactly, how do we follow this? So, first thing that we need to do is we need to define the patient's problem, and this can be done only after a careful evaluation and complete evaluation of the patient. Once this is done, next thing that you need to do is you need to specify the therapeutic objectives, what you want to achieve with the treatment. Then you need to go for your management plan. This management plan includes not only the pharmacological measures, but it also includes the non pharmacological measures. You need to choose and verify P drug. Now, what is a P drug? P drug is a personal drug concept, and I would be highlighting this in one of my sessions. What and how do we choose and verify a P drug? Uh, then once this is done, we write a prescription. This prescription is written, then the work is not over at that particular point. You need to give information, instructions, and warnings to the patient regarding this. You need to execute the treatment, and then once this is done, you need to monitor the treatment and further stop the treatment when the optimal time has been reached, or the patient has received an appropriate response, or an appropriate response has been achieved by a patient. So once you start monitoring, what you do is you can either go for continuing the treatment. It will depend. It will always depend upon the disease situation that is there, or you could stop the treatment. Once this is done, you could again review the treatment at each visit of the patient, and this overall constitutes the guide for good practice. Now, it has always been said that there are five rights of medication for a patient. That is the right patient, the right drug, the right dose, the right route, and the right frequency. And we should always remember these five rights, which include the right patient, the right drug, the right dose, right route, and frequency. So we are talking about patient, drug, dose, route, and frequency. So, what do we do to maximize the safety of the patient? We always need to write legibly, and that means that we should write in capital letters. We should write the generic name in the capital letter. That has been emphasized many times by various regulatory authorities, and the reason is quite obvious. We should space out words and numbers, like if it is 5, 0 0.5, so it should be 0 0.5 instead of zero point 0.5, because that zero point 0.5 can lead to a misreading as 5. If it is 5, it should be spelled as 5 and not 5.0. Then it leads to a being misread as 50. It should be spelled out whether it is milligram or gram. Always complete your medication order, avoid abbreviations, and when there is doubt, always verify the facts. And one of the ways by which we can verify is we can ask the patient to get the medication, and we can just observe the medication, and I guarantee you this will not take much time of yours. So, to conclude, for rational drug duty, I would say that it is our duty to provide health care for mankind through rational approach and providing rational management as a part of overall rational patient care. And these days, we have the standard treatment guidelines that have been issued, which could be a useful guide for rational prescribing of drug. So with this, I complete a short topic on rational use of drug, and I believe I have been able to inculcate some amount of knowledge on rational use. Maybe we might have few more sessions, because this particular rational use of drug is a vast topic that can be covered in many sessions. So just to give you an insight in what this particular uh, title is all about. So if there are any queries, you could reach me, you could write down in the chat box, and I would definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for your patient listening, and have a good day.